Tag Wednesday. I'm such a rebel. Hey BookTube, it's Kim at middle of the book march, and yes, it's a Wednesday and I have a tag. Now, I have part of my hallway in the frame because it's the best angle lighting when I sit in this area. However, there may be a little kitty cat appearance. There usually are, a couple of them anyway. Little cameo by the kitties, so keep an eye out. If you see one, let me know. So today I have the in and out book tag, in or out book tag. And nobody tagged me. What is wrong with you all? And I thought I have a whole bunch of new subscribers that, honestly, thank you so much. I am really grateful that you've subscribed. And so because of that, I know there's a lot of you who don't know me that well. And I've talked about a bunch of this stuff in the past, but you may not have ever heard that conversation or whatever. Really quickly, almost every video my hair stands up. I've got a cowlick right here. I don't even care anymore. My glasses may change. I have a bunch of different pairs of glasses because I can get them super cheap and I like to switch them out. And I usually turn on the snark because that's how I am. The person you see on the frame is the person that I am in real life, believe it or not. So, the in or out book tag. This was originated by Rick McDonnell, and I will link his channel below. I don't think Rick is very active on BookTube anymore, but it's been a while. And the tag has been going around. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. That's better. So I will link his channel below, but I wanted to do these prompts to give you guys who are new, maybe, or who don't know anything about me, a chance to get to know me a little bit. So the point of this tag is there's a list of topics, and if you're doing the tag, you're supposed to say, are you in with this or are you out? Do you like it or not? So that's the whole point. There are 26 prompts, and I am going to get going. Number 1, reading the last page first. Out. What kind of savage does that? I saw somebody else talk about this, and I don't remember, and I wish I did, but they brought up When Harry Met Sally, and Harry always claimed that he read the last page first, so he'll know what's going to happen in case he dies. And that's not the acceptable way to read a book. That's just a sign of major depression, which I agree with. So out, totally out. Number 2, enemies to lovers. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I'm halfway in, halfway out. You usually come upon this in romance novels, and there's a fine line between enemies and abusive. So I don't always like that. Number 3, dream sequences. I'm out on this one. I don't want to read a stupid dream sequence. Number 4, love triangles. Kind of the same thing. Somebody always gets hurt. It never turns out well. No, I'm out. Number 5, cracked spines. In, for sure. Especially if it's a really thick book. I've cracked the spine on The Count of Monte Cristo multiple times. I've cracked the spine on Middlemarch multiple times in multiple places. And depending on the book, there are many hardcover books that stay open quite easily. There are softcover books they don't have a personality, that are floppy and they'll stay open. But especially with like NYRB versions, New York Review of Books publishers of books, those books are very tightly bound. And when you open it, they will not stay open. And I crack the spine so hard that I'll lean on it on a tabletop until that sucker is gonna stay open. So I'm in on cracked spines. Number 6, back to my small town. Yeah, out. I don't care. Number 7, monsters are real people. I'm in on this because real people can be monsters. And those are the most interesting kind of monsters, in my opinion, to read in fiction. If you see a glare, it's because I'm looking at my laptop. I don't know, where should I look? Okay, 8, no paragraph breaks. I'm in because I tend to like stream of consciousness, and normally that's what you get in no paragraph breaks. I absolutely detested Duck's Newburyport. I don't remember how friggin' long that book was. Well over 1,000 pages. I read 25 pages and couldn't get rid of it fast enough. However, I read Milkman by Anna Burns, and that was one of my favorite reads of 2019 or 20. I loved that book, and that was also a stream of consciousness format of writing. So I can get into it. I know a lot of people don't like it at all. Number 9, multi-generational sagas. I'm in. Yeah, I tend to like those. I don't always go looking for them, but when I feel like reading a book and it is one, I'm in for that. Number 10, rereading. I'm out. I have too many books to read to reread. However, I have about a handful. What exactly is the quantity of about a handful? I probably have less than 10 books that I've reread. And the only reason I've reread them is either they are just lifetime favorites, or for whether it's a read-along or a buddy read, I've reread books. And usually my rereads are just spectacular books. Many of them are classics. I've read The Handmaid's Tale several times. I've read Beloved several times. Oh gosh, there's some John Irving's The World According to Garp I've read a half a dozen times. So there are some out there that I've reread, but normally I'm out on that. Number 11, artificial intelligence. Out. I'm not a big sci-fi person. Once in a while, but no. Number 12, drop caps. Yeah, I'm in, sure. I'm not going to look for drop caps, but when they're in a book, yeah, I like them. They're pretty, especially if they've got art and if they're really pretty and they have the good font. If it's just a regular drop cap of the first letter of the paragraph on the first page, that's fine. Number 13, happy endings. I'm deeply in on this because I am a completist and I love wrapping it up. Now, again, I don't have to have a happy ending in every book, but when it happens, I love it because it gives me closure, and I don't want to be wandering around out in society wondering how that book could have ended or wondering what are those characters doing right now, because that will happen, and I don't like that feeling. I want people to be happy. I want it to be a happy ending. I want people to fall in love. I want people to achieve the goal that they're trying to achieve throughout the entire novel. So yes, I'm all in on happy endings. Was that clear? Number 14, plot points that only converge at the end. That is, I'm in if it's like a thriller or a mystery. That's awesome. I don't know if I've ever... Oh yeah, there's plenty of other books that have done that. Sure, I'm in on that. Number 15, detailed magic systems. Okay, I'm half in because I don't read that much fantasy. What a series that I loved was N.K. Jemison's The Broken Earth trilogy, which began with the 5th season. Absolutely loved it. That was highly detailed. And those books actually had a glossary in the back. I don't know if it was all of them or just the first one, the 5th season. But I pored over that glossary, and I actually read the entire thing before I read the novel, because I started to read the novel and all I kept thinking was, oh, good gracious, this is super complicated. And so that actually helped, and I went on to absolutely adore that series. In other books, I guess so. Sure, I'm in. Okay, number 16, classic fantasy races. When I first read this question, I thought it meant who's running against who? What kind of a foot race? What is that? And then I realized in Rick's original tag, he was talking about elves, goblins, animals, vampires, all these different types of alternate beings that you find in a fantasy novel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how stupid. I felt stupid. So that's what it means. Do you like books with, elves and different types of alternate beings? Elves, goblins, dwarfs, animals, vampires, blah, blah, blah. I'm all in. I love it. I do like fantasy novels. I don't read enough because I want to read more fantasy, and I've got several books on my shelf looking at me that I really, really want to read. And this is the end of September. Starting in October, I have no scheduled buddy reads or events. I will be taking part in Victober in some way, but I'm not going to jump all in. So I'm going to start picking things up that I'm like really excited about and may not fit in with anybody's idea of what I should be doing in October. Where was I? Number 17, Unreliable Narrators. Absolutely in. I love it. I love finding out later in the book that this narrator is totally unreliable, or they're a criminal or a psychopath. Yes, I'm all in on that. Number 18, Evil Protagonists, all in. Evil is fun to read, and I am sure that it's fun to write. Evil characters are complex. And quite honestly, good characters are too, but we tend not to look at the good characters with more complexity because, we're so black and white, one extreme to the other, polar opposites. But every type of character has so much nuance and so many complexities and so many sides and perspectives. But an evil protagonist, absolutely. That is super fun to read. Number 19, The Chosen One. I'm out. I'm so jaded on The Chosen One. Harry Potter would never have ended up where he was without Hermione Granger. He was not the chosen one. He was a figurehead. And that's the type of story I don't want to read. Number 20, when the protagonist dies. It depends on the book. If it's like, I don't know. Have I read any like that? I guess. Half in, half out. I don't really remember a book that I loved where the protagonist died. I know there have been some. Yeah, I'm in. I don't know. Number 21, really long chapters. Totally out. No, I hate that. Ironically, one of my last 5-star reads had super long chapters, but they had chapter breaks. They weren't numbered, but the chapters were super long. I'm like, I don't know, 50, 75 pages long. No, please don't do that. But there were paragraph breaks and section breaks. And okay, so if I get to a section break and I know that's going to pause the narrative and then it's probably going to pick up in a different place, why not just make that a chapter? Give me a novel with 100 chapters. I don't care. My favorite kind of book is a super long book with very short chapters. And a lot of times I see those in Stephen King books. I don't read Stephen King often, but a few of his books that I've read have super short chapters, and there may be a lot of them, and it could be a longer book. But, some of the classics like Middlemarch, Daniel Deronda, George Eliot wrote some pretty long chapters, but the majority of them are a few pages long. And The Count of Monte Cristo, again, they alternated, but the majority of them were manageable and readable, and there were very clear chapters, very clear breaks. I would love a long book with short chapters. So I'm totally out on long chapters. Number 22, French Flaps. I'm going to combine this with 23, which is Deckled Edges. The holy grail of a book for me is a paperback with French flaps and deckled edges. If I had one right here, I would show you one, but I don't. That's my holy grail. So I'm absolutely in on both of those. I'm in if it just has French flaps. I'm in if it just has deckled edges. A hardcover with deckled edges, all totally in. But I absolutely love paperback, French flaps, deckled edges. Holy grail. 24, signed copies by the author, out. I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't collect books for the financial value or the fame value of a signature. It just doesn't matter to me. Number 25, dog earring pages, all in. I know. But I'm in because I hate using the sticky tabs, and especially if I'm buddy reading and I hate the sticky tabs, I will use a pen and I will put arrows of different sentences or passages I want to talk about, and I'll dog ear the pages. I have certain books I just finished now in November, and almost every other page is dog eared. That's just an exceptional book, and there was so much I wanted to talk about. And so I will often have a reading copy and a keep copy. I'll keep both of them. But the reading copy is the one that I just trash. I'll dog ear it. I'll split the spine. I'll do whatever. Get me in that story. So dog earing, I'm in. And the last prompt is number 26, chapter titles instead of numbers. I'm in on both. It doesn't matter to me. It's probably easier to navigate chapter numbers. I'm not too picky about chapter titles. I don't think the titles really increase my reading enjoyment. So I think I would probably, okay, I'm going to be out. I'll say out because I would prefer numbers. Numbers are also easier to divide a book. Again, if I'm doing a buddy read or a read along, it's easier to mathematically divide than it is to, okay, which page, what version do you have? So if somebody's reading a paperback, somebody's reading a hardcover, we can divide by chapter numbers. See how easy that was? So that's the in or out book tag. I am not going to tag anybody because everybody is doing this tag. If you're watching this video and you are a booktuber and you haven't done the tag yet, you're tagged, and I would love to hear your answers. This is a fun one. So please do the tag. Let me know what you think about any of my answers, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.